Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Gamers Initiative podcast, or G.I.P, as I've put in the title. Episode 37. G.I.P. We need to come up with a title maybe. Thank you everyone for joining us. Who's with us? We've Try Hard Fan. Are you still there, mate? Other Zinc, you still there? I know you got bored waiting for these two guys, but hello.
You got the time wrong. It's your fault, Elite, not
I'm sure
ours.
you said 8 o'clock my time.
Nope. 8:30.
ASHTREY.
8:30. Read the tweets. Read the messages.
Okay. I'd like to introduce Red Panda, by the way.
Yeah, sassy Red Panda.
Yeah.
Good morning, or good evening, or good day, whatever time of day it is that you're joining us. And I just want to introduce this morning. You can tell it's going to be a bit funny because it's the first podcast for the year. But we have an amazing guest with us today, all the way over from Australia. We have ASHTREY Gaming with us. How are you this morning, ASHTREY?
I'm good. Morning, everyone. How are we?
We're good. We're
Doing well. Yeah.
There's only
I'm awake. I'm awake.
Yeah. Well, I had to have a good sleep after our gaming last night, playing Halo Infinite multiplayer, and I got a little annoyed at some of the matches, but anyway, I've just got to get better.
One of the matches I was coming first for a little while, and then got knocked to third by the end of it. Oh,
you did well though, because I was at fourth that whole match, so at least you placed above me.
Like the amazing Lucas, just see him doing a review on Halo and why he hated it. He hates it because he says, when you're fighting a boss, you need to be able to save it at any point while fighting a boss, because he kept dying.
Why?
And that's his complaint. About the game. He says it's
ridiculous. It took him an hour to defeat one of the bosses.
What game allows you to save the game while fighting a boss in a boss fight? What game allows that? Imagine that. You're in a boss fight and you got save it.
Pokemon emulators on computers?
Yeah, exactly. As he's growing about Halo, and he went on for half hour complaining that Halo doesn't have a save function during a boss fight. What ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Anyway.
No, well, see, the thing is, he's probably too used to his story-driven games where they have cutscenes every 5 seconds.
Exactly. Yeah,
and
let's have a break.
Yep.
Yeah.
Saves after every cutscene.
Yes, his little girl hands.
Exactly.
Cutscene mid-boss fight, because you're being moved to the second stage of the boss fight. Saved. Maybe.
Apparently, there's people saying the stream of him was apparently dying for about an hour and a half, because he streamed the fight, and for an hour and a half he was dying fighting this boss.
Oh God.
That's funny.
Really, an hour and a half? Damn.
Yeah. Fighting one boss.
Wasn't he playing heroic or legendary? Heroic, right?
Heroic. Yeah, he's only on heroic as well. Awful.
Okay.
Right. Anyway.
Well, why don't we just put it on easy?
Anyway, we should get back to reality.
Yeah. So, should we get? Have we introduced Red? The ASHTREY. Did we meet?
Yeah.
Were you here, Elite?
Yeah.
Have you been in the podcast?
I
When I start talking, Elite zones out.
Yeah, I might have had a sip of my JD at the time. Right, should we get straight onto the topics then? Because Try Hard fans like myself has been waiting for an hour. So thanks, Try Hard fan, for sticking with us. He's probably gone now. He's probably from fuck it, gone. Right. Our first topic. Oh,
sorry.
That's all right.
I
thought he was doing a fresh then. Our first topic is we can start on the PS4 production. So I haven't got topics in front of me. I'm gonna have to open up my phone. Yeah. So basically, the first topic is the PS4 keep staying in production for another year. Now, this is very interesting because you get a lot of backtracking now, because you've got people, which I kind of agree with, people saying, well, that happens every generation. Every generation, PlayStation always keeps their console going on longer. Yes, I agree with that 100%. Yes, they do. Except they were pushing for generations, and they was all preaching in 2020 that they should be leaving the PlayStation 4 behind, because last generation consoles hold back next generation consoles, and it should be left behind. And they was pushing for next gen. Now, PlayStation, now Sony are basically saying we ain't got enough PS5, so have more PS4s, and basically boosting the production of PS4s to counteract the I don't know the point actually to counteract, to counteract the lack of PS5s. But I'm not sure. Would you walk into a shop and go, "Can I have a next generation console, please?" And if they said no, would you go, "I'll do with a last generation"? Then would you do that? Would anyone actually do that?
If I was after a next gen system, I would be like, you can take your last gen system and shove it up your.
Because if you haven't already got a last gen system, why would you walk into a store in 2022 and say, "Oh, can I buy a system that came out in 2013, please? Have you got any of those still on the shops?" Yeah, we've got loads of them because Sony have got nothing else. Would you do that? You just wouldn't. I don't get their angle there, Sony, why they're pushing those. But I've talked too much. Go on, Red. You take over.
We have a guest, as per usual, so I'm going to let ASHTREY jump in on have his thought. He's like, damn it, I was hoping you'd say something and I can counteract your point and we can have this big debate going on.
Well, look, what you said was right. They do, like, generations overlap, so companies tend to still make the old system for a year or so.
Yeah.
But as you said, to your point, is that they planned on ceasing production of the PS4, and I think it's only the slim model that they're doing, to then obviously focus fully on the PS5. Now their reasoning is that they just can't get enough because of the chip shortage, etc. They just can't get enough PlayStations out, so they want to focus on. I don't really believe that because, like you said, who's going to buy a PlayStation 4 last gen console with games that are at 30 frames that have already been remastered 6 times, things like that? No one's going to do it. Emerging markets are probably still playing them because they're still they're behind the times because of the cost of the consoles and things like that. So maybe they're for sale in emerging markets, but the way it's been perceived in articles and things is that it's to help sell consoles because the PS5 is obviously struggling. That doesn't sound right to me. So there's probably more to it as well. Yeah. And I sort of brought up a point. Now I don't know anything about chips and silicon and all that kind of stuff, but using silicon to make PlayStation 4 consoles is using up silicon that you could be using in new PS5 consoles.
Yeah.
Right? Or at least that material could be used for the PS5. I don't know how it's all made and done, but so I think in one article I saw, it's only a year extension, about 1 million consoles. What's that really going to achieve?
It's nothing.
If anyone wants to buy, especially in Western countries and Europe, if anyone wants to buy a PlayStation 4, they'll get it on eBay or Craigslist or whatever other option there is used. So my only thing is thinking that it's for emerging markets, and it's just the way the articles are written are just sort of falsified or something. I don't know, but it just doesn't ring true to me. Something there.
Well, Tryhard fan says that not necessarily the resources of PS4 are driven from the PS5, which I suppose I agree with to a degree, but the only thing that worries me as well is that they're still going to charge. So if they're pushing PS4, so everyone buys a PS4, then when the PS5 start becoming popular and PS5 games coming out, then they're going to charge all those new PS4 owners that upgrade charge, that £10 they're going to throw on games to get the PS5 versions, aren't they?
Yep.
So they're going to be making them double dip. It just sounds iffy and sort of greedy and weird, the whole thing. Obviously, Sony were not prepared for this generation whatsoever. They were caught out, and I think Xbox is not getting credit for the Xbox Series S at all.
Yeah. I think it's interesting when we look at this. Tryhard fan is right. The silicon that they bring up for the two systems will be different. So I think they probably have silicon available at the ready to make 1 million units of PS4s, which is why they've probably set that at 1 million. But to your point, ASHTREY, that is a drop in the hat. That is nothing. It's not going to impact anything. It's not going to take away from sales on Xbox's side. For the people who think that this is who are worried, really worried about how well Xbox is doing at the moment. But I think it's interesting because if you're going to sell a PS4 console in this market, you're 100% right. Why would you buy brand new if you can buy a really cheap one? Especially if they don't look at changing the PS4 price considerably. I can't say that word today. Tongue piercing and all. That's a pain in the ass. Because of where the Series S is priced at.
Yeah. Well, as Cole Eastwood showed on Twitter the other day, he done the two price comparisons. The Xbox Series S is the same price as the PlayStation 4.
Exactly.
So, you know, and
you can't have
after that I wrote in. So you're gonna get someone. Say Timmy's mum's gonna walk into a shop and say, "Can I have a console, please? What have you got to offer?" Well, we've got this console and this console, and she goes, "Oh, you know, great. Are they both next gen?" The shop owners go, "No, only one of them, and there's the same price. Why would I buy last gen console when I can buy the next gen console? I'll take the next gen console, please." And the person will say, "Here you go, Xbox Series Slim, Xbox Series S, bosh." Also, the other thing I was going to say, sorry, Red, I've had JD and Coke, so I'm a bit hyper. I was just
You're like me when I'm sober. No.
And I was going to say, the other thing is as well, is I think the other worry is, if you're then going to push PlayStation 4s, and remember all its games coming out next year at PlayStation 4, then why buy a PlayStation 5 if you do get the option to buy a PlayStation 5? You're pushing it to play a PlayStation 4. All its games are playable on PlayStation 4. So what's the incentive to buy a PlayStation 5 now?
I would say save your money.
Yeah.
Save your money. Yeah. Save it until there are PS5s available. If you want to spend anything, get a second-hand one. One that, if you get a second-hand one, people who may be selling their games physical with it. Who knows? Because like the second-hand game market for the PS4 is so good if you're going to a place that sells all those physical copies. You can get really cheap games. So if you're that desperate and you can't get hold of a PS5, go that route. Like, I would never buy brand new at this point of last-gen systems, because you're not getting the next-gen equivalent experience from them. You're not getting your 60 FPS. You're not getting the quietness of the next-gen systems. Yeah. Like the PS5 comparison to the jet engine that is PS4 and the PS4 Pro, staggeringly different around the decibel volumes there. Like, hugely different. And if you feel like your house is taking off, it's probably because you got a PS4 in it. But I mean,
I've got a Slim, so the Slim's actually quiet.
It's lovely.
It's quiet.
Yeah.
Well, do you know how I had my Series X got sent away, and I turned my One X on because it's been sitting in a box since I moved house for like over a year. It's been sitting in a box, and I opened it up and put it on, and I was like, and I turned on some games, and it started to like turn up, and I was like, oh, I forgot how quiet the Series X and S consoles are in comparison to last gen system.
Well, to be
fair, is
fair,
hugely different.
To be fair, the Xbox X wasn't that bad, wasn't that loud? To be fair, that wasn't.
It wasn't.
No, it wasn't that bad. But the Xbox,
it was pretty good.
It was good. But the Xbox Series Slim, I keep calling it Slim. Xbox Series S, which I suppose is a Slim, is absolutely silent. It doesn't make a noise at all, and I love it. And it's even though I still want to get the Xbox Series X. But I'm really love. It's like sitting like right next to my keyboard now, and it's just silent, tiny, and it's just a really nice machine.
Turn on your last gen system, even though the One X was quieter.
Yeah.
It is still nothing in comparison to the current gen. Nothing in comparison. Current gen systems, especially on Xbox's side, so quiet. But I mean, I think the biggest issue that's come out of this PS4 staying in production for the rest of 2022 is just the amount of rubbish that their toxic part of their community was spewing when Jim Ryan was talking about we believe in generations, and they started saying we've got all these PS5 only games coming out. This is the reason why you need a transition. The COVID problem, the semiconductor shortage, everything has kind of worked against PlayStation having a smoother, it was never going to be smooth, but a smoother transition between last gen and next gen. And to their point, they can't make enough consoles to meet demand. Neither can Xbox. But Xbox has actually gone and made sure that they stopped their production. Have you seen the headlines like Xbox One is dead and da da da? I'm like, why is this like clickbaity as hell? But they're just trying to say like, to the point is, Xbox stopped production of their last gen consoles to focus solely on next gen, and not only have they done a really good job with that, they have also been putting their next gen systems into the server blades.
Yeah. That's what I said. Oh, we've got call breeze. That's what I said to earlier on Twitter when someone was sort of saying about Xbox One has been cancelled. Phil's gone back on what he said, and I said no, he's not. They always said that they will carry on cross-gen until 2022, and then they'll push next-gen. Whereas PlayStation said the opposite. They said in 2020 that they was going to sort of not pursue cross-gen, and we're going to go completely for PS5. All the games coming out will be PS5 only, yada yada yada. And they've gone completely back on what they said, and Microsoft has stayed true to their word. They've said they were going to quit last-gen, cross-gen in 2022, and they have. And now all their games going forward are next-gen. And they've given the option of buying a next gen console by getting an Xbox Series Slim at an affordable price, and they've got loads of them on the shelves, as people keep showing. They've read the market better than Sony. Basically, they've just done a better job at marketing and production. That is all. It's straightforward. They both have issues with silicon, but Xbox has done better with it.
Yeah. I just think like 1 million units. What's the point? Focus on something else.
Yeah.
At this point, put that into doing something else for it. At this point, because it's not gonna make much difference, and they really need to look at that price point, because if they are gonna be doing another 1 million units, and they are, which is sad, they really, really need to look at that price point, because the price and size difference between the consoles, like if you get a PS4 Slim and then a Series S, like one looks vastly smaller than the other, one sounds vastly quieter than the other, one performs vastly better than the other, one can play next gen games and is backwards compatible and has the ability for cloud gaming. Like it feels like, I don't know, I don't understand what's up with, I know why they're doing it, but I don't understand what's up with PlayStation's marketing, or just generally what they're doing at the beginning of this generation. Like last year, if they delayed everything because they had to, because of COVID, and then every game that they announced that was going to be next gen only became cross gen, because they couldn't sell enough units, and they need that money to ride them through, because they're going to be doing, and we're talking about this later in the show, the PlayStation VR. But yeah, it's super interesting just to look at what is happening on Twitter and what is happening in the media around the decision for them to continue making this console into 2022, when right at the very beginning of the generation there was outrage and outcry from the PlayStation community, kind of not outrage, shoving it in our faces that they were going to be stopping production on Xbox One generation consoles very early in the generation. And I think comparatively to last gen, to this gen, to any previous generation, I feel like both companies had an intention of cutting off last gen a lot earlier to focus on next gen. And I feel like because of what's happened within the world, it's really been hard for them to follow through with that plan from both sides. But what's made it easier for Xbox to cut that off is the fact that if you're in a country which allows xCloud, you can just play next gen games on your Xbox One system until you can get a next gen system. That's your saving grace. There is, people can play next gen games on their old system via cloud gaming.
I just want to do a shout out to our some of the viewers we've got now. We've got Cool Breeze. Hello, Cool Breeze. Welcome, mate. We've got Tryhard Fan. Yeah, so Tryhard Fan was saying, what was he saying there? He was just talking. I was gonna say something. I lost his
No, that's all the JDs you've been drinking, Elite. Hello. Hi, Boba Fett Gaming. Shout out to you. Definitely ready to play some games with you.
We'll play after this.
Next Friday or Saturday, one of the two.
I'll join you after this thing, but yeah, we just definitely get back on it. Drone to Fly is Techno's alt account. His GoPro alt account. Hello.
I did not know that.
Hello, Drone to Fly. Anyway, I know. I'm trying to find Other Zinc. Yes, Sony will be going to 2024. Yes, will it be 2024? That'll be their first next gen only game, and that's what I was going to say. Try Hard, you said that Spider-Man 2 will be next gen only, but I mean, have we got confirmation of that? Because they've never actually said that yet.
I think it will be next gen only.
But remember, if you recall the advert for, firstly the advert for Gran Turismo 7, it said PlayStation 5 only on the advert, and then it wasn't. God of War never had anything what it was going to be for, and then now it's cross-gen, and they've not done the same for Spider-Man 2. They didn't say if it was PlayStation 5 only or not. It's just,
I think it
doesn't actually specify if it's next gen only or not.
I think that game would be next gen only because
I hope it is,
because Insomniac has had 2 games release on the PS5, so they've got a lot of experience optimizing for the system.
Yeah, you'd love to think that, but I don't think it's necessarily about that, the optimization or the experience. I think it's more of a case if Sony want their game to be on PlayStation 4 to make money off the PlayStation 4 sales, then I think they're quite happy to do that, to hold back a game for that money, that revenue.
I don't think they're willing to do that by that point, because Spider-Man 2023, 2024, one of the two. Yeah. Wolverine probably 2024, who knows? But you're going to be looking at definitely those games being next gen only. They can't, because I mean, if you look at the first year, if you look at the first year of this gen now, PlayStation did have quite a few games that were PS5 only exclusives that could have been run on last gen systems, but they committed to trying to encourage people to move to next gen. They just can't they can't create enough new units to sell to their consumers that want them. They just can't keep up, and because of that, they're getting hit with not being able to sell enough software with those games. Yeah. So they're making some more cross-gen to manage that and kind of survive. I would say lessen the blow in regards to sales, because software sells, consoles. That's where you make your money, your software. Exactly. But this next year, like this 2022, which we're in now, how many games are we aware that are PS5 only coming out?
Yeah, there's no PS5 only games.
It feels from what's been announced, it feels like there are more PS5 only games in their first year than there will be in their second year. Whereas Xbox has got cross-gen, and we're going to start seeing that slowly change over and flip to next-gen only. But that's the opposite way that PlayStation, I feel like, is moving. What are your thoughts on that, ASHTREY?
Well, I mean, let's just quickly say that if they're extending the PS4's life by a year, who's to say that they won't extend cross-gen?
Yeah.
As well.
Yep.
So imagine if you bought a PS4 console and then you're like, okay, what new games are coming out? And then all of a sudden it's only PS5 games only. You're like, why the hell did I buy this console? You know, this is for the casuals that are uneducated, right? So I pre-ordered Horizon Forbidden West, and guess where I'm playing it? I'm playing it on my PS4. I'll be doing the same with God of War, and I honestly do think Wolverine will be PS5 only, but I still have a hunch that Spider-Man might be cross-gen. That's just because it's a system seller, right? And they're going to keep all the guys on PS4 happy. So they'll try and get both markets, the guys that are still on PS4s or who have just bought them, and the people that are on PS5. I think because Spider-Man has such appeal, I think it'd be a smarter option, honestly. I mean, I could, probably wrong, and probably PS5 only, but I reckon it would be smart for them to still have 2 versions of it. just to capture as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Because like you sort of said before, is that that's where they make their money on software, and we already know that it's only about 10% that buy exclusive. So if there's 15 million PS5s out there, well, there's only going to be 1.5 million sales, whereas we know that there's over 100 million PS4s.
Yeah.
So you'd make that up. Or if it's PS5 only, I'll have to probably put it on PC too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And capture that market.
But that is the thing.
Maybe that's the route.
That is,
maybe
that is where they're going. Maybe they are planning to go PC day one, and that's why they're being a bit sort of coy on the whole thing.
Maybe.
So I mean, even if they go PC 6 months later, it's still better because people have their PCs right now. You're not waiting because even in 6 months' time, there's still going to be shortages on next-gen systems. That's a given. But they don't have the cloud infrastructure to say play these games on your PS4 in the meantime until you're able to get a PS5. They don't have that infrastructure available for them.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Console gamers and PC gamers are two completely different markets. So if they have to wait 6 months, a year, 2 years for a PlayStation exclusive, they'll do it. That it doesn't bother them.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yep.
Because they've probably never played it before anyway. They have their set games. Console have their set games. So once they do come to PC, it's just okay, cool. I'll pick it up and play it. And that's just how it sort of works for them. They got enough of their own games to worry about. So. Yeah, I mean,
it is quite sort of different, isn't it? Because
it's interesting.
Xbox likes that income sort of more or less immediately, whereas Sony are quite happy just to drag out those sales across a set period of time, aren't they?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What do you think?
But I'm sticking to my PS4 for the foreseeable future. I might not even get a PS5 this gen at all. But if I did, it'd be towards the end of the generation when they've got a slim model where I can hide it, because I really dislike the look of the
PS5.
current one. Yeah,
I can't wait to see the size of the PS6, guys, because all they seem to be doing is making a bigger and bigger console.
Yeah. I think me and Matt said the same at the beginning of the generation. We said we were talking at first about buying a PS5, and then that sort of faded as just there wasn't anything worth buying a PS5 for, and now I don't think I will buy a PS5 now until the mid-gen refresh. And then I'll possibly buy one.
Yeah. Try and get one this year if I can. I'm gonna try. But it's a hard selling point because I guess for PlayStation gamers they're like, there's no reason to buy an Xbox because I can get all these games on my PlayStation. Like, what exclusives are there as a selling point? Or I could just get these on PC. But it's the same as an Xbox gamer who most people have PCs at some point, or some type of like laptop or something around that side. And there isn't a selling point for me to buy a PS5 except for backwards compatible games. So for me, I could easily go out and get a PS4 and then go play those games that I've been wanting to play that I would have preferred to play on the PS5. But I guess the difference is, like, a lot of those games aren't Gen 9 aware, so you're not getting it. It's like not taking advantage of the next gen system, whereas Xbox's consoles, if it's Gen 9 aware, they can take advantage with FPS boost, automatic HDR, the 9 times anisotropic filtering or 16 times anisotropic filtering. Like, there's benefits playing backwards compatible titles on Xbox, and vastly in comparison to PlayStation, if you're looking at playing backwards compatible titles on next gen systems. Like, and then as a PC gamer, you just up your settings based on what components you have in your rig. Yeah. But I think it's interesting that last year it was the PlayStation guys kind of trolling us and saying, like, you guys are going to have all your games held back because of cross-gen, because of the Series S, everything. Like, they had every narrative that you could think of to kind of combat.
And some of the media, not just the PS fanboys, the media was saying that as well.
Yeah. And now we're turning around and it's now Xbox going, hey, well, Xbox, like Xbox team is going, well, it's clear that Xbox believes in generations more than PlayStation does, because they have got a way to weather the storm of COVID financially with Game Pass, with cloud, with everything. Their systems are, I guess, more widely available for the Series S, because I feel like you could make 2 Series S's out of over a Series X, and you can make more of that over a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots to say there, but it's just so interesting to watch how the tables have turned. Yeah. I just think it's fascinating that we went from last gen to this gen and where Xbox is sitting, but apparently Xbox is still in 3rd place.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that media are trying to make a thing about them discontinuing the Xbox One. They're trying to make as if like Xbox have failed in some way because they're discontinuing last gen consoles, making them, not selling them because they're still on the shelves, but just making them, which I don't see how that's any kind of negative whatsoever. But the media is always just trying to find a negative at anything Xbox does. But
well, it's interesting if it was PlayStation, who had said we're stopping production on this day, this is the reason why, you would be seeing articles probably that say like, this is the reason why PlayStation is doing next gen right and transitioning and blah 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 blah. But you're getting titles like the Xbox One is officially dead. Like, no, it should be Xbox is doing things right this generation, or to do with cross-gen or next-gen, like transitioning. That should be the stuff you're getting. And then they should be calling out the stuff that more missteps that PlayStation gamers have been doing. But I guess because of how vocal some of that community can be, that toxic community can be, they are less likely to do that. You got to pander to the people who click on your stuff. Who cares? Don't pander to people. Just go with what you need to say. Go with the truth. And don't. Oh yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah, I've talked this out.
Go on, next. You lead the next topic in. Lead it in. Go.
All right. Okay. Well, going from that, it actually kind of leads in very well to that one. Is the Xbox Series consoles shipped an estimated 12 million units, which is insane. And comparatively, PlayStation 5 maybe I think they're currently shipped at maybe like 13 million or sold 13 million or something. So I think this is well done. If that's so close, it's not 2-to-1 comparatively to last gen. So what are your thoughts? Were you quite happy to hear that this was the case, or estimated case in this instance, ASHTREY? What are your thoughts on this?
I'm glad you said estimated, because no one really knows. It could be even higher than that, let's be honest. We know demand has been huge for next gen consoles, and I know that I've got 2 Series X's in the house. And I know a lot of people have, a Series X and an S, and a few people have multiple consoles, which is really good to see, even though it's been sort of fairly difficult to get them.
Yep.
And at the same time, look, we all know that the Series S is selling the most, and there's obvious reasons for that. One, price point, $300 US. That's about 500 Australian. It's probably $1 million New Zealand.
549 New Zealand.
Oh, that's not too bad. There you go.
It's cheap. It's actually cheap. It was actually cheaper than a PS4.
Really? Okay. Well,
at one point, I was like, what?
That's it. There you go. Well, there you go. That's another example of why it's selling. Is like you'd look at that and go, "Oh, no, I'll get the Series S console." So you've got price point, which is a huge mover of consoles, especially for casuals or parents buying them for their kids and whatever. Is they're looking at an entry model. They're not. I mean, unless you're spoiled, your parents aren't going to buy you the bee's knees model. You tend to get that yourself as you get older and have a job and all that kind of stuff. So price point's really important. They learnt that with the 360 days. They had a couple of SKUs, and they had I think it was a $299 model as well at the time, and they blundered that over in the Xbox One generation, overpricing the consoles, and that's why, you know, at the back end of last gen they brought out the One S and the One X, and that was, to me, two things. Right, they did that for two reasons. One, they did that to bring back the power narrative, form factor, and everything, you know, to make it new gen, you know, current gen at the time, and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, to test the water on sales and how the next gen would go, knowing that they had 3 to 4 years of sales of the One S and One X, see how the public, the general public, would perceive them, and how they would purchase them. And obviously from that, they've gone, okay, well, the One S is selling that little bit more because it's more of an entry model. It can do almost the same as the current. Most people obviously play, you know, FIFA and COD and stuff like that, Fortnite. So they've used that data and gone, all right, well, we need to, and they probably knew about a chip shortage even before it became public. You know, these guys are in the industry. They know what's going on. You know, they can forecast and all sorts of stuff. So, you know, they could probably see things 2-3 years out. They've probably gone, all right, what we need to do is we need to make these consoles. We need to hit these price points, but we need to make twice as many Series S consoles, keep up with demand, knowing that demand is going to be restricted by X amount, blah, 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 blah. And they've played the game. They've done it well. And that's why we're seeing these kind of numbers. Not to mention Game Pass. It's a massive needle mover. I mean, you can buy a $300 console US, and then, what is it, $10 in America for Game Pass, and you've got access to over 400 games, which can be used via cloud. You can download them whenever you need to, and you've got this. It's fantastic. It's a no-brainer at the end of the day. So, I suppose, you know, at the end of the day, Xbox has sat down, they've strategized, they've planned all this from the beginning. Their marketing, their you know, openness on what's going on and how they wanted to treat this generation, about having cross-gen and all that kind of stuff, and we're cutting it off in 2022, and, you know, all these different things that they've done. It's a whole package, and they've done it really, really well. So
well done.
It's no surprise that they've sold 12 million. I reckon possibly even more. I mean, if you look at Forza Horizon 5, now they just ticked over 15 million players. Now I know that's across different consoles and all that kind of stuff, but still. Quick question on that, actually. It says 15 million players globally, but is that the players that just got into that section of the game? Or does that just count everyone that's turned it on?
Yeah,
I'm confused.
No, I think that's just active players. That's people. Total amount of people that have played the game is 15 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
So
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's just going to keep getting bigger, that game, actually, to be honest.
It will
but
do.
yeah, I agree with.
Yeah, go on. You go.
I was just gonna say, I agree so much with what you were saying there, like ASHTREY, like. Well done, first off, to Xbox for having a strategy with the two console system as an attack, in a sense, to kind of combat the beginning of new gen, because we've got a lot of people who didn't bother picking up a Xbox last generation because of how dominant I guess PlayStation was last generation, and it just took a lot for them to change the hearts and minds of gamers to make people take Xbox seriously again, because they've really dropped the ball at the beginning of the generation for a lot of consumers and the casual market, and where everyone was like on PlayStation. So as a casual gamer, you're going to get a console to play with your friends, because cross-platform games didn't exist back then, right? With cross-platform becoming more available, I think it's a lot easier for people to decide, well, I'm more of an Xbox gamer, I'll just play with you on PlayStation, but like with my Xbox, I can play a game with you together, whereas you couldn't do that last year. And you either had to have a PlayStation or you couldn't play with them. Because I myself prefer the Xbox controller over the PlayStation controller, hands down. It's just more comfortable for me. Even if I've got tiny hands, I have tiny hands, but like it's still more comfortable for me. But yeah, like if you look at it, like for the casual market, they say like casual gamers only play Fortnite, but it doesn't matter what casual gamers only play. If you're a casual gamer, you're probably going to pick up a Series S price point. You're also going to probably try out Game Pass and then realize that you really, really like this constant amount of games coming in and out of Game Pass, easy access. You don't have to drop a lot of money on it. So to a casual gamer, financially speaking, it's a no-brainer to go after a Series S. And yes, Series S is the one that's selling more than the X because obviously for manufacturing reasons, they can produce more Series S consoles than a Series X console. Takes less silicon to do it. It's just a lot faster, the production for that. But I think Game Pass is a huge selling point, and it's why the Series S is doing so well, and the price point of it as well. Like you kind of stuck at looking at next gen as a PS5 and going $70 in comparison to Game Pass or a $60 game on Xbox. For people who are price conscious, and it's not the hardcore gamers who are willing to take that price and like go, I'll pay that because I think that game is worth it. But it's the casual gamers who are going to go, I usually go to EB Games or GameStop or whatever it is and go look through the secondhand games and look at pre-owned and try and find a cheaper version, and I'll wait a few months. But with games on Xbox decide you don't necessarily have to do that, and if you do want to do that, you've got games in the meantime to tide you over through Game Pass. That is a huge selling point. Massive selling point. And for those who haven't been in the ecosystem, it's a great way for them to come into the Xbox ecosystem, and then if they find out that they are wanting to have a look at those pretty graphics, they can then choose to get a Series X later on when it is more frequently available. That's the thing. It's like, I know that I have a friend who started with a Series S and who has since said, I love my console, but now I'm going to put this in the kids' room. I want the X for the 4K graphics on my big TV. And that's how they started. They are previously a PlayStation gamer, and they got the S, and now they've moved to the X. And it was just getting that foot in the door and getting that console into households was enough for them to go, okay, I now want the full next-gen experience that Xbox is offering. And estimated 12 million shipped. Yes, it could be higher, but you got to remember 12 million shipped to like outlets and retailers. That does not include the fact that, and I talked about it just before, that Series X consoles were being put into server blades for xCloud or Xbox Cloud Gaming. Because imagine if they didn't have those next-gen systems in the server racks, how many more systems would have shipped? So for them to have estimated 12 million shipped to retailers, that is outstanding. Well done to them. Whereas PlayStation 5 didn't have that, and their estimated ship was meant to be 16 million by March this year. They've had to knock that down to 15 million. And they're sitting at about maybe 13 million sold, I think. This is no longer the whole PlayStation is going to win this generation rubbish anymore. You can't say that the way things are going. Xbox is really, really, really winning the hearts and minds of not just hardcore gamers, but also casual gamers. And what's going to be the biggest push is going to be all those next-gen only games that are releasing day and date into Game Pass with the 23 studios Xbox has. They're still looking to acquire. And there was that rumored that they've secretly acquired IO Interactive, and I think that would be amazing because that would be just another studio under their belt, and I like IO Interactive, so yeah. thoughts, Elite? Sorry, I talked for ages, I feel like.
He's dead.
Sorry, I
killed him.
He's dead. Let's just continue on Ash without him.
Where was we? No. Where was we? Go on, you go.
He's already
gone.
Chat. Sorry, I was miles away.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, so I just had a quick Google search. Apparently, 13.5 million consoles for the PS5. 13.4. So if we're at 12, shit, that
so
is
close.
Fantastic. That is really good. And then obviously with their supply constraints of the PS5, I reckon we'll see that number creep up and surpass the PS5 sales. I saw in the chat, Boba Fett, nice to see you. Thanks for coming. He said that he reckons that Xbox could potentially be the market leader by 2024. You know what? I would have to agree with that. I reckon that's a pretty fair assumption. Because yes, we know PlayStation are going to have their one and done bangers come out, which I'll play at some point. But the amount of games and consistency that is going to come out for Xbox over the next few years through Game Pass, etc., through the 23 studios is massive, and I think he's right. I think it's the console to have, especially with the amount of options you've got. It's not just a story-driven game that you're going to get. You're going to get those. You're going to get RPGs. You're going to get stealth games. You're going to get all sorts of variations. That it's like, would you go to a banquet just to eat cheese? No, you go to a banquet to eat everything they got to offer, and that's what Game Pass is, and that's what's going to get besides price points, as I keep talking about, but Game Pass is the key driver for new console sales, or to get a lot of the old 360 gamers back.
Yeah.
And I've even seen on Twitter the amount of people said, "Oh yeah, I used to play Xbox on the 360 and went to PS4, but now I'm back," and all that kind of stuff. And it's happening a lot. I'm seeing it all the time. So
yep.
I just want to touch on some of the things Tryhard and Darth Starker are saying, is that it's PlayStation at 13.4 million back 3 months ago. But let's just play devil's advocate here and just assume, okay, they're at 15, 16 million now. Let's just say they're 4 million ahead of Xbox right now. Firstly, that's not 2 to 1. Secondly, now they're pushing PlayStation 4 this year. They're not pushing PlayStation 5. They're running out of PlayStation 5 units. They're pushing PS4 over PS5. So that in itself is going to narrow that gap massively this year. So I wouldn't be surprised by the end of this year if it's more close to sort of equal.
Neck and neck?
Yeah, neck and neck. If they're more neck and neck by the end of this year. And, people are saying, yeah, but PlayStation's got some killer games like God of War and that. Yes, they have. But they're all playable on the PlayStation 4 on the console that they're going to be pushing that year, not PlayStation 5.
Which is where I'll be playing it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see why you would buy a PlayStation 5 specifically, go to the shop, card a PlayStation 5, yes, £500. What game you want to buy?
$70.
This game that's all for $70 that's also playable on the PlayStation 4. I don't know why you would do that. You'd have to be either an absolute Sony fanboy, or people keep now mocking the Xbox, saying it's for the casual gamers. Yes, that's what PlayStation has been for about 10 years. It's always attracted the casual market, and now Xbox is starting to attract that casual market, because I'm sorry, but 80% of the PlayStation fan base is the casual market. They're not buying these PlayStation 4 bangers. They're buying FIFA, they're buying Fortnite, they're buying all these other games, not PlayStation exclusives. And Xbox is now capturing that casual market.
Although,
as
I mentioned before, I pre-ordered Horizon Forbidden West on the PS4. It cost me $124, so I'm to blame as well.
Hey, at least with Horizon Forbidden West, you will be able to get a free upgrade to PS5.
Oh yeah, didn't think about that.
That is the consolation price there. God of War, not a free upgrade. I guarantee you they're going to be charging you for a PS5 version. I think the interesting fact there, though, when you look at that, is with Xbox, if I have a game for Xbox One and I want to look at what my console can do, and they've enabled GenAware or they've added some optimization for the new system. When I put that into my new system to see the difference between what I played on my last gen system to my next gen system, you can see it. You can generally see the difference. The load times are different. If there is any optimizations there, yes. But in order to do that on the PS4 to the PS5 side, a lot of the games you're paying a $10 upgrade just to put in a game to see how it looks on your PS5. Why would you do that? Why? Whereas it's free on Xbox. I think that's the biggest thing, is they really, really need to go after that free upgrade option, because it's going to win more hearts and minds of their own community who are casual gamers going, why should I upgrade if I want to take this game over, and I want to play it and take advantage of my PS5? Yeah, I have to pay to take. Not only have to pay for a next gen system, I have to pay to play a game I already own just to take advantage of the system I've now paid over like $500. It's like $820 in New Zealand for a PS5 right now.
Damn. Yeah. Look, unfortunately, Sony or PlayStation have already come out and said that Horizon Forbidden West will be the last free upgrade. Sadly. So, look, when you're market leader, and they still are, and they're still in, majority, yeah, of course, you can charge for things like that. So, and again, I don't agree with it personally, but if I want it, it's only $10, and they know that, and they'll go. Most people will just go, screw it, it's $10. We'll just pay it, and that's really sort of how that works. Yeah. Whereas, and then that's the thing. If I was Sony, playing devil's advocate here, I could turn around and say, well, we're not forcing you to. You can either stick with your current gen, or if you want the pretty version on the PS5, you pay the $10. Yeah, I'm not forcing you to do it.
Or go
it's your choice. $2. You know what I mean? So, I'm happy to play at this point at on the PS4 at 30 frames per second and all that kind of stuff. If I decide to get a PS5 towards the end of the gen, I'll probably end up upgrading them. Let's be honest, because I like 60 frames. It's hard to. It is a little bit jarring when you go back to 30, but right now, I played the first Horizon at 30, so I'm sure I'll cope with this one. So
well, to quote who was that? Nova, who was like, if there's an option for 30, I'm going to choose 30 over 60. Yeah. Those things have aged well over the time, but yeah, I just can't believe how close it is this generation at the moment, sales wise and even console shipped wise. But I saw this person, what's it? They put a post out to say like, that's consoles shipped to retailers, not consoles sold. And it's like, it doesn't matter about shipped to retailers versus consoles sold at this point, because at the moment, whether you're buying a PlayStation or an Xbox for next gen, they're really hard to come by. They're selling out. So that 12 million shipped is going to be 12 million sold, guaranteed. So you can just take that with you and run it with it, because it's going to be 12 million sold. Because we're at the beginning of the generation.
Yeah, fair point. If it was later on and there was heaps of stock in stores, I would say no.
Yeah.
But, I mean, look, Sony's always gone shipped sales anyway.
Well,
that's their metric. As long as it's
their fan base ran with too.
It's when it's out of their factory, it's considered sold to them. So
that was funny though.
It's a non-issue at this point of the generation.
Who was the person on Twitter who said like Xbox shouldn't be lumping together the sales figures? I mean, the shipped figures for the Series S and the Series
X. Or...
was it Failed Pyromancer?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, him. I don't care. I'm name drop him. He said like this isn't fair. You shouldn't be lumping those sales or shipped figures together. And I'm like, well, the same can be said if you're looking at last gen, because the PS4 PS4 Pro. Yes, they were playing the same game, but graphically they weren't doing the same thing.
No.
Graphically speaking,
different power.
One and Xbox One X, they were playing the same game, but they weren't doing the same thing graphically. So if you want to say PS5 and PS5 Digital are playing the same game, graphically speaking, so their figures are okay to be lumped together, but you're going to turn around and say it's not okay to do Xbox's side. How many PlayStation consoles sold last gen? Split that up, mate.
Yeah, that's it.
You can't put one thing out and just say it's okay if I say an Xbox has to be the exception, but PlayStation can do whatever they want in my eyes. Be honest, be genuine, and don't spout rubbish that can easily be pulled apart by a 2-year-old.
Yeah. Should we move on to the next topic?
All right. Oh, yes. I'll get you to start that one off there, Elite, since you basically said nothing this topic.
He fell asleep for 5 minutes, I think.
I told you.
We've got a lot of chat.
He falls asleep.
So the next topic, what are we doing? Is it? I got my phone. Is it VR?
I put it in the Discord.
I'll read it. It's in the Discord.
Oh, yeah, put it in Discord.
I did put it in Discord. It's under the podcast one.
I did.
And Ash, you put it in there? Okay, Ash, you want to read this one out if you want?
Yeah. Xbox Phil Spencer calls for cross-platform ban program. Elite, would you like to kick us off, mate?
Elite, did you read up about this?
Yes, I did. Right, yes. Basically what he wants to do is, because obviously there is a lot of people on PC cheating. That's the reason why I left PC gaming and come to console in 2009. Because PC gamers just cheat because they're shit at games. Let's be honest. They even with keyboard and mouse, they still feel the need to want to cheat at games over console players. So I think part that because of the crossplay that he wants to basically ban people cheating across all platforms. And I think it's not just that though, but it's also people just being generally toxic, isn't it?
Yes.
Of course.
Yep. Yeah. Because if they're being toxic on one platform, they're going to be toxic on another platform.
My only issue with that is it's open to a lot of what can I say, like people taking advantage of that and just sort of basically getting people's accounts closed for no reason. Kind of like of how sort of Twitter and things like that can work in the same way. I think I don't know how Xbox will monitor that, and if they move it like Twitter to a computerized system where it just looks at certain words, then I think that can be really unbalanced. I agree that should happen. I think policing it will be a whole different issue, and I think it'll be a hard thing to do. What do you think, ASHTREY?
I think it's nice. Oh yeah, Ash, go.
No, God, you can speak if you want.
Well, what I think is that there should be something like a 3 strikes program.
Yeah.
Where, it can't just be hearsay and things like that. There's got to be sort of enough proof to give them a warning and then a next warning and a ban, right? My sort of thought on this topic is, well, how are you going to ban them though? Because they could just end up creating another account, and use a different email address and things like that. And people keep skirting around it like they do on Twitter. Or the people that get banned just create new accounts. Well, even when people use what are they called, like the IP filters and stuff, virtual private network, your service provider still knows, like they still know what IP address. It's not foolproof, right? They still can hone in on what your email IP address is. That's what they should do. They should ban IP addresses.
Yeah, not.
But then
that's smart.
No. So, and you can't tell me that they can't do it. I bet you they can.
They definitely can.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be the way around it. So if you've got little Timmy over there talking shit and being just a rude prick or a racist or cheating or whatever it may be, and that's been established enough times, and they get their 2-3 strikes, and the IP address get banned. So if they try to log back in and use a different email address and sorts of business like that, it'll still go, no, this is from that IP address, error or something like that.
That's what 100% agree.
That's because I can't.
It has to be IP.
I mean,
it has to be police.
You can make a million different email addresses.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
and let's be honest, the ones that actually are being toxic already have a ton of accounts already pre-made and are just pouncing around those accounts. So banning them is not going to affect them. It's just going to affect more the innocent people or the people who just made that one mistake that one time. Rather than these actual trolls that have so many accounts and purposely go out just to hate and target people. It won't affect them so much, and that's my only worry.
I think it'd be hard around the IP though if you've got more than one person on a console and one person is being toxic and the other person happens to log onto that console using the same IP and they would get I guess negatively impacted. So as a program, I think it's something that they're really going to have to look at how they apply it, and they really need to talk about as a group, especially for cross-gen games, because I think this is really, really important about cross-gen games. Or not cross-gen, cross-platform games, sorry. Because I put up, when this came out, I said I 100% agree with the ban. I think it definitely needs to be done, because when you're playing, like, I will play on PC and I will play on Xbox. But if I'm playing a cross-gen game and cross-platform, because I can't say that word so much. Like Back 4 Blood, I play Back 4 Blood, and I posted that on Twitter saying that like there were these two guys that I ran into on Back 4 Blood, and that was absolutely horrible, and I turned off the game, and I didn't want to go back to that game for a week because of how bad they were, and I was like, for you to make me feel so bad about a passion of mine and a hobby of mine that I love so much, gaming, was actually just. It's not okay, and that's happening to so many people, regardless of age and gender and anything like that. It's happening to everyone, because there's just some really, really toxic people who don't deserve to play games with other people because they can't control themselves. They can't be decent enough to respect other players. Like, it's fine if you're trash talking and it's a bit of fun because you're with people and they know you're trash talking and like it's part of that fun banter. But like, I banned those guys on Back 4 Blood, so I never had to play with them again because they were on another platform. But it would be really nice if I knew if I jumped into any other game that was cross-platform, I would never have to play with them on any other game again. That would be what this ban should be. Like, if you're banned because you're an absolute asshat, then I don't have to play with you ever again. Regardless on the platform I go to, you're banned. I'm never going to see you. That's great. That's a win for me. There are lots of people I'd love to do that. Like, if I was to then go on PlayStation and play with them again, I would be pissed off on any game that because of, it's just, I don't know. It just,
I've got another thought process on this.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, I don't know about PC, but I'm pretty sure each console has a unique identifier.
Yes, they do.
So ban that then. If you can't ban the IP because it'll affect someone else in their household, which I didn't think of because, hey, fuck it, they can fight it out and they can sort it out themselves at home. You got me banned. I didn't do anything. We're on the same IP address.
That's it. This relationship's over. You're moving out.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure every console, every Xbox at least, has a unique identifier. Well, ban that code or whatever the serial number that is.
Yeah.
Okay, that they'd have to go out and buy another console and they could still do it all, Bob, I guess. But that would take a lot of effort to do. So yeah, do that.
Yeah.
And then someone that's on PC, you can say, well, then they can jump over on PC. Well, I don't know if they've got unique identifiers as well, besides an IP address. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But at least you could do it for console, is what I'm saying. So
you're running into the fact, like, if you're banned off one system, or if you bought the game digitally, right? That game is attached to either your PC or your PSN ID or your gamertag or your Steam account. So it's actually going to be hurting you in the bank a bit more, because if you can't get in on that particular one, you're going to have to buy another version of that game. Like, with Xbox, you can game share, so you could easily game share to one of your alternate accounts, so you can still play. Or if you're playing a Play Anywhere game, that's available on Game Pass for PC and Game Pass for Xbox. You could then just play the game on PC. So I think there's a lot to look into around how they approach this, but I think it's nice that he's actually talking about it and saying this is something that we need to look at as a gaming community, as publishers and console manufacturers. There is a clear problem that needs to be looked at to fix what is wrong within the gaming community.
Because I don't think it should end now. I think they should do this across things like YouTube and social media as well.
I 100% agree.
I agree with you there too.
Rather than allowing people to have 10 stock accounts on YouTube and just continuously spam people with nonsense. Ban ban their IP, ban their whole account, ban everything.
Agreed. 100% agree. Hey, there's a comment in the chat. Is it Player Boss or Player Boss? Actually, it's PHYER.
I have no idea. Fear Boss. I don't know.
I can't read. It says. It says that's what they were doing in the 360 days, I believe. So apparently, using the unique identifier for consoles, MS were banning people on the 360. So if they were doing it back then, they can do it now. There's no reason why they can't. It's been done before then, so
I mean,
I think that's the answer.
Xbox and Nintendo have a pretty good relationship at the moment. Xbox and PlayStation will have something to talk about in relation to cross-gen games that they cross-platform games. Gosh, I'm gonna get there one day, guys. So they have a reason to come together and actually talk it out and come up with a solution that works for everyone. Obviously, you're gonna run into issues where some people are gonna get caught up in the mess, and to those people who've made a mistake once will probably get disadvantaged as a result. But it's really going after the majority who are taking advantage and cheating and just being absolutely toxic parts of our community. Like, I jump onto a game because I love to do it to make myself, to obviously keep myself entertained and so on and so forth. But I don't want to have to put a game down and go, oh, that person was absolute rubbish and then made me feel crap about myself or crap about the game, so I'm going to go try something else if I'm so obsessed with playing that game. And as an adult, this is where we're looking at kids playing these games. Yes, they're all trash talkers and they don't have emotions when they're kids because they're still going through puberty and blah, 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 blah. But you've got adults who will run in and say stuff to them. And I think it's all about making sure that as a community, regardless on the platform you play, anyone can join. Anyone has the right to join and be safe and know that it's fair and that they're not going to have any issues, and that regardless of the platform you play on, these platform providers are making sure, regardless of where you choose to play and the game you choose to play, they have ramifications for the gamers who shouldn't be playing with other people. Yeah. Did you win Elite? Is it Thrash or Thrush? What?
Thrush. We've decided,
King
everyone,
Thrush.
Chat, we've all decided it's King Thrush. So from this day forth, he'll be known as King Thrush.
Yep.
I need some ointment.
Yeah. Some ointment.
King Thrush and the Ointment Crew.
I just want to say thank you to all those watching live with us at the moment. Really appreciate the chat's amazing, and just shout out to all of you there.
Yeah. I'd just like to point out ointment. Such an interesting word, ointment, isn't it? Does anyone else feel that word? Ointment, such a weird word. Ointment.
Ointment.
Anyway, it's a fun word, isn't it? Ointment. It sounds like it should mean something else. Sorry, so I don't know why.
It kind of probably does.
We've probably been swearing in another language, not really. People listen to.
But yeah. Back to reality. Just kudos to Phil Spencer for bringing it to light and talking about it, because it's spawned. It's really just making it aware that this is something that they're really aware of, and they're reminding us that this is something that really needs to be looked at as a whole community.
Does that also mean that they're working on it? That also
I think
mean that they're doing something about it? Because That's usually what they kind of do. They sort of test the waters. They'll say something, put it out there, see what the feedback is, and then we might not hear about it again. But
yeah, I think he's wanting to see how the other console giants and other publishers how they take it, and whether or not they're willing to come to the table and as a team, as a group, all try and fix this problem together.
Because you won't hear anything from Sony.
No, you never hear anything from Sony, except on the PlayStation blog.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Oh well. There you have it.
Have you two finished? Move on to the next topic. Sorry
yes.
to sort of
yes, sir.
Right.
Yeah, we're finished, yeah.
Because I want to quickly go and get another JD and Coke. Right, so we've got ASHTREY's leading this one. Are you ready?
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Ointment. New Undead Labs. New Undead Labs team to work on animations for Unreal Engine 5 for all MS Studios. So this is about the Undead Labs, which I think is quite... The thing I find interesting about this is people wrote off Undead Labs, didn't they? After State of Decay 2. They were just got... They're trash, yada yada. Even though I've always liked their games, like the State of Decays, and see a lot of potential in it. And so did obviously Phil, because Phil's always said that, hasn't he? He really likes the State of Decay games.
Yes.
There's a lot of potential. Now they're apparently, as well as the Coalition, because I know they're also, they're actually leading a Unreal Engine 5 studio, which is like the best at Unreal Engine 5, and they're now bouncing around other studios, helping them out on Unreal 5. So
optimization.
So two things really to talk about here. One, how fantastic is State of Decay 3 going to be? And then obviously them going around helping out with other teams. So ASHTREY, go. You've got to talk now about 10 minutes while I get a JD and Coke. Go.
All right, can you get me a JD and Coke while you're there, please?
As well. It's your early morning. You can't drink it yet. You can't drink it for another.
Okay. Hey,
you can drink any time you want, Elite.
If you're awake, you can drink now.
Never drink while you're asleep, everyone. If anyone listening.
All right, I'll unhook my IV.
So sort of to what you said, Elite, that what does this say for State of Decay 3? I mean, if they're so let's just step back and go. Well, they've bolstered their team since 2018. They've increased the amount of people that work there. They're probably sharing talent as well. From other Xbox studios, they might say, well, I live closer, so can I go work at Undead Labs and stuff like that. So, there's all that sort of thing that's probably going on. But they've bolstered this team up, and they've obviously want to make this a real big AAA game, knowing that there's potential with the franchise. Now, we saw the CGI trailer, which was done in UE5, and that, although it was CG, the whole point of that is to give you an idea on what the game is going to look like. So what that tells me is it's going to be that sort of graphics, that type of graphics using Unreal Engine 5. It tells me that it's going to be more of an open world type of game, maybe sort of, kind of similar to maybe say Days Gone, for example, as opposed to just like base building. It'll probably still have that element in there. I'm not sure. I'm just sort of surmising. So, but you'll be able to travel out there, and we've seen that deer or whatever the hell it was that had half a face, and you'll be coming up on not just zombies but zombie animals and things like that. So I think it's going to be a bigger sort of open world game. Now, graphics wise, they've obviously been working on this for a while. They've obviously got some talent there, and But what you got to remember is each studio is broken up into different departments. So you got graphics, and you've got story, and you've got arts, and you've got all sorts of different little parts to it. That maybe the graphics side of thing, they're done. Maybe they've created all the assets they need to do and character models and things like that, and they're sitting on their hands going, "Well, we're done." Phil or someone or Matt Booty has probably gone, okay, guys, well, instead of you guys sitting around now, what you guys can do, because you're really good at it as well, is you guys can sit there and make assets for the other teams. So They'll tell you what projects. You guys sit down, talk about what project they're working on, what assets they need. Is it guns? Is it trees? Is it buildings? Is it textures? Whatever it might be. They take that away with them. They'll sit there. They'll create all that information through Unreal Engine 5, all those assets, textures, etc., and then they'll send it back over there, and then they'll continue to do that. And I reckon the coalition will probably do the same sort of thing. You may as well be utilizing your staff,
Yeah.
24/7. Well, not 24/7, but 365 days a year. Yeah. Keep them in jobs, keep them working. There's, like I said, I don't know, but I'm assuming that there'd be downtime for each department. So they'll probably be doing the same thing with narration and things like that. People that will be writing scripts for other teams and things like that. And what this will do is it'll also help turn out games that bit faster. Keep the same quality going for each game. So instead of just rushing it out in 2 years, they've actually, because the workload's been split up over different teams and things like that, helping each other out, they can then get through the game that bit quicker without compromise.
Imagine
how awesome is that?
Yeah, imagine if the team, like, say, because I think 9foot in the chat said, and I was like, yes, it's agreed. The first State of Decay on the 360 was an arcade game, right? The small little thing, and it did really well. And then State of Decay 2 came out, and then it was was announced to be releasing, and then it was announced right at the very end of the dev cycle that there was an acquisition. And yes, it got a bit of delay for some extra polish because they had a bit more money, and they've kind of hired a hell of a lot more staff ready to do State of Decay 3. But imagine if State of Decay 2, when the complaint was about the animations, the way the characters moved, and etc., if there was a dedicated animation studio, and you could say, as Undead Labs, we're focusing on building the game out, can you work on this one piece for us? Because we don't have the size or team or to do the animations, or we have fairly new animators or whatever it is, and you can go do this, and then they send it back to them. So overall, it should just improve all animations across all studios within the Xbox family, because they have a dedicated team. If you're developing for UE5 and you need help with some more skilled animators who are familiar with the engine, and you just want to make the game that more realistic and have that polish where it looks more AAA than maybe it is, you have a team that can assist you while you focus on building out the rest of the game that you want to do. You can put that onto the animation studio that's working on that. They can send it back and you can implement it. Because that's the thing, like if Undead Labs had that option for State of Decay 2, you wouldn't have had that complaint. But people were trying to say with State of Decay 2, they've been acquired by Microsoft, so they better fix the animations. It was too far into the dev cycle for them to do that. It was written off. They're focusing on that in the next iteration of the game. And it's not going to just be State of Decay 3 that benefits from that. It's going to be any Xbox studio that is choosing to use Unreal Engine 5, and maybe they just go, hey, you've got a dedicated team who's really good at working on the animations for hands in relation to weapons or whatever it is, or anything like that. Can you focus on this thing? Because we're trying to get this done, but we're having difficulty. Is there anyone that we can push this on to while we focus on what we need to do and try and get these games out faster, but still keep a level of polish? And I think this is the best news ever, because if you look at Naughty Dog and their animations on The Last of Us were just so good. And you can't deny that. You can't take away that. They were really, really good, and the game was beautifully polished. And now we have a studio that is going to be, or a team within a studio, I don't know how it's going to work, that is dedicated to doing something like that for Xbox. And they'll be able to teach other animators, because they should be, as a result of this, getting animators going, okay, I just want to work with a team of other animators and learn and improve and take that knowledge wherever else I go. isn't one of the guys from Coalition now heading that team or going over to head that team? Or I can't remember. But there's so much news going on in that space. But I think this is brilliant for getting Xbox up to that polish that PlayStation gamers say Xbox isn't up to for those AAA bangers that it's the reason why they don't want to buy games, and it's the reason why Xbox games aren't $70 because they're not worth the $70 price tag. No game is worth that $70 price tag.
Yeah, look, I'll just jump in real quick. So, exactly what you said, right? So it's for faster turnaround. Now, it plays into Xbox's initiative of bringing out, a AA, AAA game every quarter.
Yep.
And that's hard to do, right? So what do you need? You need studios, which they got. Mm-hmm. So you need workers, which they've been building up on a lot of the studios. So this then fits into that as well, saying, well, these guys can be the gurus, the go-tos for animations, and that will free up other teams to focus on the other parts of the games and not have to worry about animations, right? So that then ticks over and helps get these games out because, you don't want to have a game that's going to have a 6-year dev cycle and then it's only going to sell, maybe potentially 10 million copies. If you can have the same quality of game and you can make it in 2.5 years instead and still sell 10 million copies or have 10 million players, it's gonna save you. You're gonna make more money, right?
Yeah.
So it's efficiency for not only to get us games and get us games more often, it's for them to save money and do things efficiently in their business. Yeah. It's very, very smart, very clever, and I'm sure they've got other little projects and things like this that they're doing behind the scenes that we haven't heard of yet.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I just want to cover some of the super chats we've got. Right, so
super chat. Okay.
They're all super chats. Don't listen to them comments. People in the comments.
Super chat.
Comment people. Right, so we've got. She's no elite. If he loses brain cells every time he listens to King Frush's videos. I think we all do. I think he would lose them if he had any. What we got here? Darth Stalker. You preferred State of Decay 1 to 2, and you would rather it go back. I'm kind of hoping that State of Decay 3 is much more open world and bigger, to be honest. Where you got sort of the little maps. I'd like it to be sort of one big massive map with maybe some water dividing the maps, and you can travel across the maps yourself. I'd also like it to be more like an MMO, because I play many MMO games, and I'd like it rather than I think that's where State of Decay 2 went wrong. With you could sort of invite players in, and that was all just messed up and really skewed the game. I'd like it to be a more proper open world MMO kind of thing. Almost like Fallout 76, I think, where you have a limited server with a limited amount of people on it, and you can sort of just build and just get on, or even steal from each other. That's what I'd like, that kind of thing, as well as the zombies.
Make sure you read ASHTREY's super chat. Best show on right now. I love how you wrote super chat in your comment. That was so good.
We got Fonz. We got Fonz.
Fonz are rally. Fonz, welcome. He's giving you support there, ASHTREY.
It could have been the same what I said in Twitter, because you missed it, Fonz. ASHTREY was calling you out earlier.
Don't listen to Elite. Don't listen to him.
Let's go. I was going to read another super chat. You broke my memory stream thing.
JD broke your memory, not me.
JD broke my memory stream thing. Go on, let's go. Carry on. Where was you?
Who was it saying? Cyberboss, I'm probably saying your name wrong, but you said you guys spoke on a rumor about Square dropping Xbox from ever getting any more major titles. Let's face it, it's most likely not a rumor. Any thoughts on that, guys? Very quickly.
I wasn't listening, to be honest with you.
No one listens to me, apparently.
Accent. It's the accent, isn't it?
The Kiwi accent. The Kiwi accent.
Sorry. It's that decibel range.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was
About Square, like basically dropping, like not really releasing games on the Xbox and really just focusing on PlayStation, because we've seen time and time again that games that PlayStation has releasing on it, like Final Fantasy VII Remake, has still not come onto Xbox at all, and you're seeing a lot of the Square Enix games doing that. Or just in general, just really only focusing their release on PlayStation and completely doing a wide berth for your JRPGs and other things like that, wide berth for the Japanese titles, and skipping the Xbox altogether.
Yeah, look, I don't really haven't been focusing too much on that to know enough. But isn't there two divisions of Square Enix? Isn't there? Yeah. So
yep.
I don't know as they really get along. And I don't think the Japanese, I think, is it Japanese? The Eastern division sort of really like Xbox that much.
I agree.
Whereas the Western division do also, and they've worked together, obviously. So, but they've got a stronger relationship with Sony. They always have. It doesn't bother me though.
I'm surprised actually Xbox doesn't push more in Europe as well. They really need to get a foothold in Europe, which I just don't know why they don't really bother. Because I've still not got an Xbox Series X because you just can't get them in UK.
It's weird. It's weird, isn't it? Because I mean, they've got PCs are everywhere, and they've got Microsoft Office and all that everywhere. Yeah. How is this so hard to do? I don't get it either.
I don't get it.
I've seen people with tweets and stuff from Europe, different countries in Europe, saying we just don't have support here for Xbox. I'm thinking after 20 years of being around, there's no support in Europe. Holy, that's like a lot of potential sales they're missing out on.
Yep.
It's crazy. But anyway, that's not the topic. Sorry.
Anyway, back to Undead Labs, their Elite. Thoughts on that animation team? What are your thoughts? Because you finished drinking your JD.
Yes, I'm just replying to Fonz, the fraud.
He's a superstar. We've got a superstar in the chat.
We do have a superstar. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I do like Fonz actually. Fonz probably.
You have some good take.
Can I talk about? Yeah, Fonz was a bit creepy. No, I do.
True.
Yeah.
He called you a fraud, ASHTREY. Are you ready to talk already?
Because we're just too big. We're just not. He's just not in our league at the moment.
Yeah.
So what was I? Oh yes. So studios. We're talking about studios. Yeah. Right. So
the animation.
I thought I'd talk about this. Yeah. So yes, I think. To be honest, it's totally blown my mind that Undead Labs are so advanced on Unreal Engine 5. Because we all knew Coalition were heavy on it, and they've always used Unreal Engine 5, Unreal Engine, and been good at it. That we've seen from like the Gears of War 4, and I'm getting some weird feedback now. Is everyone else still there?
Yeah, it sounded like you were running water.
I wasn't. I wasn't just running water. Randomly running water.
Yep. Turn your taps off.
Yeah, I was just having a piss. I was doing a King Thrush and just thought I'd just piss. No, this is you, Red. You keep breaking my concentration. It blew my mind that Undead Labs are just actually that advanced at Unreal Engine 5, and I think it's interesting to see more as it goes on how much they are involved in other teams, having this other studio that just bounces around and stuff. Because I originally thought that was sort of the Initiative's role. I thought the Initiative would have taken that role, not Undead Labs. So,
has it been announced what engine the Perfect Dark is even being released on? Like what it's being made for at this point?
It's not. No. So
I don't necessarily know if. Yeah, I don't necessarily know if the Initiative would be running that charge, but
if Fonz the gun is in chat, he might know because he.
Yeah, I don't think Undead Labs is that advanced. I think the purpose of this is to actually build up that knowledge, get animators in who are a bit familiar with UE, and then really focus on streamlining animations for UE5. That's what I think it's going to be, and then they will be able to push that out to other studios within the game studio, or Xbox game studios, and give them help them with those animations, because like I said, Undead Labs, for the animations in their last 2 titles, were that of an indie studio. They didn't have the team behind them to really focus on that. They put a game out for what the game was initially, and I think we're just going to see a massive leap in quality from the previous titles to the new State of Decay 3. But it's going to just go and kind of go out from that and be like a ripple effect to the other studios using UE5. If they need that animation, a specific animation that they're struggling with, they can just go, hey, can you help? Or just send that work to that team and go, these are what we're working on. Oh, these are what you want you to do. Can you do that? We'll focus on building out the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think it's they're doing a lot of companies you work for do actually do this, and I think they're doing the right thing where they've got sort of specialist teams that do just bounce around and sort of focused on particular jobs or roles within a division, just bounce around. I think Xbox are being very clever at doing that, and it just saves money because generally you'd usually outsource that, which would then cost money, and have a specialist team in house. It's just it's better for the team as a whole, really. Should we move on to? I haven't got my phone on me. Should we move on to
anything else? Anything else we want to add there, guys? I think we've pretty much. Nah. The last thing, and this is because generally kind of like our last topic of the day, just rounding out, is the announcement, because this is our first show back for the year, so we missed quite a bit of details around that, but PlayStation VR 2 being announced at CES 2022. Does anyone have any thoughts around that? I'm just around what that is going to be, because it's got like one cable, it's going to have 4K up to 120 hertz within the headset, with the fact that you've got the camera on the headset, so you actually to work out motion and positioning in the room and things like that. So what was the purpose, I guess, for me, this is my take, is what was the purpose of selling the PlayStation 5 camera at the very beginning of the generation, and people were buying it because they wanted to, if it's not going to be utilized for the PlayStation VR? Why are you selling a camera and now selling another peripheral that doesn't work together, unless they're going to come out and say, like, if you have a camera, it's also going to provide better awareness for the VR headset and those sort of things. Like, glad they're doing an iteration change, and it's coming into next gen, and they've got new handsets, so they're no longer using the PlayStation 3 Move, which is an improvement. But I'm not a big VR fan because I get motion sick quite easily. Would anyone be interested in this? Because not only are you getting into the PS5, you're also going to have to pay another fee to get this. So I think price point's going to be a big thing around PlayStation VR.
Yeah. Seriously?
You guys don't care? I don't care for PlayStation VR.
No, the thing is that it's a peripheral that's going to cost the same, if not more, than a Xbox Series S.
Yep.
And you can only use it on select titles. You're still tethered, even though it's only one cable. You're still tethered.
Yep.
It's I don't know the number, but the percentage of VR gamers is extremely low.
Yes.
I mean, if God of War and things like that sell 10, 15 million copies out of, over 100 million consoles sold, well, what do you think VR is going to do? I don't believe VR for the first iteration sold that well either. And now they've spent more money, R&D time, advertising on this. At this point in the gen, where the consoles are now, I just don't think it's necessary. VR, for some people, love it. Some people get motion sickness. There's all sorts of to's and fro's and backwards and forths on VR, but I don't think it's a niche product, and I don't think it's something that every gamer is going to have. People don't even have the lounge rooms and size, rooms to play it in, generally speaking. So it's a waste of money. It's a waste of time. I don't think it's a good idea. Let's just focus on games. Let's just focus on games with controllers, and improving, games as a service and offers online, and things like that in store, and work on that. Get people to be working on improving the PlayStation 5 console and its innards, instead of paying people money to make a new headset. I just think it's a waste of
time. There are plenty of VR headsets already out in the wild. Like, make your console compatible with those. I guess the thing is, like, PlayStation reminds me of Apple in the regards to like how they kind of gate you into their platform. So if you buy this, you can't use it anywhere else. Obviously, someone's going to make this PlayStation VR headset available to use on the PC at some stage. But like, to your point about R&D spent, yes, I think they wasted that. Like, you look at they could have spent that on developing better side panels for the PS5. Dbrand has better side panels for the PS5, and they're not even working for you. The new ones that they've got with the cut into the sides for the grill, so that you've got better airflow getting into the fan. If a third-party company is designing a better side panel than you are, that's a concern. Why wasn't your R&D on that?
Cut corners. Hey, just Fonz in the chat, he said VR will slowly get more popular. It will.
It will.
He says the metaverse talk going mainstream will be the catalyst for it only to get bigger. And I replied back with AR will end up being normal. So I think augmented reality, which Xbox actually has a headset, it's just costs way too much money at this point.
Yeah, great.
But where it's a mixed reality between sort of a graphics interface and real world, that is going to be the norm, because people want to be able to see, so you don't jump into your TVs and shit.
Yeah, imagine if you had AR headset and you and all your team friends had an AR headset and you guys went out to a field and played like some version of laser tag with your headsets like that. Like, that would be quite cool.
Imagine
like, you could set up a stage anywhere.
Imagine just being in your lounge room and playing, Halo Infinite multiplayer with a headset on. That would be sick.
Well, if you Google on YouTube, search on YouTube, Street Fighter HoloLens. Some guy plays Street Fighter using his HoloLens, and the characters actually come up on his kitchen side, and they fight, and he walks around the kitchen, and it pans around the characters as they fight, and it looks absolutely fantastic. It looks amazing. And you see him playing on a controller. It looks fantastic. But I think that the issue here now is that they're pushing PlayStation VR 2, but at the same time now they're sort of encouraging people to get a PS4. So is the PSVR 2 going to be compatible with the PlayStation 4?
Nope.
No.
Nope. I can guarantee you, because the PS5 Sense controller isn't backwards compatible.
Exactly. But then they're going to limit. So the PlayStation 4 is going to sort of more or less the same issue as the PlayStation. The PSVR 2 is going to have the same issue as the PSVR 1 had. Or more so, it's going to be limited by sales. Because if you look at it, the PSVR 1 didn't come out until about PS4 was about 100 million sales. And it's still only sold about 4 to 6 million VR units. Whereas the PlayStation 5 has only sold, let's say, 15, 16 million units. How many PSVRs are they expected to sell to that many, sort of, that community, that market reach? I reckon 500,000 tops.
I think technology-wise, VR's going in the right direction, to where it is, to the point where eventually it's going to, like, for where PlayStation wants it to be wireless. But I think VR, in order to really take off and not be niche, it needs that killer IP that everyone wants to play. Think of like Pokemon Go. Like, if everyone had a cell phone, and so many gamers were just playing Pokemon Go everywhere they went. Like, if there was a Pokemon VR game, for example, because that's massive, people would go out and be like, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Depending on how good the experience is. Because you would be immersed, and it's about immersion, being immersed into that world that you absolutely love. And you need that where, regardless of what platform you're on, that killer IP where everyone's going to want to go and play that game and go and pick up a VR headset. And I don't think we're at that point yet. There are some really good experiences that are available, but they just feel like little experiences.
It needs it needs three key features, I think. It needs, one, affordability. Yeah. It needs to be because I think it's rumored it's going to be $500 as well. It's the same price as PlayStation 5, which I think is a bit of a reach. But it wouldn't be so bad if the other two key features, which I'm about to say, cover that cost. So the other two key features are the quality. So we're looking at, it's got to be at least 120 FPS, which I don't think the last one was. I'm not too sure, but it's got to be at least 120 feet.
No, the last one I believe was 60.
Yeah, so it's got to be at least 120 FPS native at the minimum, and probably at least I think the last one was only 720p as well, wasn't it?
So
resolution.
The new one's going to be 4K, have HDR, have 110 degree field of view, with an OLED display, but refresh rates of 90 to 100 and what? 90 to 120 hertz.
Yeah, so
that be your frame rate.
That it's going to be variable then. Does that mean?
Well, I think it just depends on
the game, or it's variable.
Well, that's its range. It can be out from 90 up to 120. So I guess it depends on the developer.
Yeah, and then obviously the other thing is, as you touched on, is the support. You need these big solid games supporting it. Things like Iron Man VR and things like that. They're just not. I don't think they're just enough. I've played the PlayStation VR with some friends over Christmas, and while it was fun, we played it for about an hour. After about an hour, we sort of had enough of it really, because we played the boxing and we played this game which was fun, but after a while it's just a bit gimmicky. Gets a bit gimmicky, and then there's this game where you got to headbutt these creatures. They run away from you. You got to headbutt them, and it's fun, for an hour. But after that, it doesn't draw you in like a game does. You would not commit for 6-10 hours to play in VR.
No.
You just not do that.
No.
And
kind of like Kinect though.
Yeah, kind of like Kinect. But at least Kinect doesn't sort of impede your view or stuff like that, whereas VR does. And I think it needs a AAA budget game to start backing it. And I don't think you're going to get that until you sell enough units. And I don't think you're going to sell enough units until it's affordable. So I think Phil's right on holding out until it gets to a level where it can be affordable, the quality's there, and the support's there. And I think he's 100% correct.
It'll be wireless.
Yeah, and wireless.
Yeah, it's got to be wireless.
That was our major thing. We was doing the boxing, and I've got a video of it. So one of the guys was boxing, and you had like one of the guys having to hold the cables up while he was boxing. Otherwise, he was just getting tangled up in it. Though he was quite active with it. But
Oculus Quest, is that the wireless one that Oculus does?
There's two other versions. There's two PC versions. I think both wireless.
So why is there already a wireless headset? There must be a reason why PlayStation hasn't gone the wireless route this round. If there's already the technology out to go wireless.
I'm not sure why they've got wireless.
Cost.
Yeah, probably cost. It'll be to make it more consumer friendly. But I think like you're running into like VR runs into the same problem that Kinect had. It's just like, yes, it's getting bigger. Like VR is getting bigger, but it's not gonna be for everyone around that. And I guess a lot of the uses are more beneficial outside of gaming. Like the Kinect has been used in, and it's specifically the 360 Kinect has been used in the medical industry. Yes, it was a huge hit back then, where it sold ridiculous amounts of units, but I think it kind of played into the time where you're looking at the Wii and how the Wii was huge and everyone was playing the Wii like crazy because of the Wii bowling, the Wii sports, and blah blah blah. The Kinect games, like I played like Fruit Ninja to death on my Kinect on my 360 because that was so much fun. But you can't sit there and play that game for like hours and hours and hours and hours because it is exhausting. Doing that, but it's a nice thing to pull up when you've got people over to show them this experience and have a bit of fun. But there aren't the games like what Horizon, Horizon. What's the name of it? The game that they announced.
From West.
From West, yeah.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they've said is going to be the Horizon Call of the Mountain. Is the game, and that's being done with Guerrilla Games and Fire Sprite.
But that looks like a Jurassic Park
experience that they're kind of showing there.
I think it's like a game, doesn't it? It looks more like a sort of sim where you just sort of go around Jurassic Park sort of esque world.
Yeah, I don't think we're quite at the world. Like think of think of Ready Player One.
Yeah.
We're not at a point where you could do something like that. And I think in order for it to really take off, you need something which is going to be similar to that style of VR. Yeah.
Fon says Fon says the Kinect was trash. And then you talked about Wii, and I just want to combine these 2 points. I think you both the Kinect. I don't think the Kinect was trash. I don't think it was supported enough. Whereas the Wii, I think why the Wii was such a success is they done it right. It was supported. I think the Wii was affordable and it's supported as well. And I think that's where Nintendo got the Wii perfectly correct. Whereas the Kinect, I think it was a great device, but there was just not the support there. And I think that's the avenue the VR's going down. I just don't think there'd be just like last generation. I don't think that there'd be the support for the VR again. And I think it'd just be another gimmick.
Possibly. We'll wait and see. Watch this space, guys. Around PlayStation VR or VR in general. I think the biggest point of it is like where they ran into problems with VR last gen is the system, the power behind the system. Like they have a lot more power in the PS5, so I think they can create a lot more experiences that they wouldn't have been able to create before in last gen. But I think price point's going to be a big deciding factor around whether or not this is going to sink or swim. But you're going to get people who are just going to go buy it no matter what.
Yeah.
And especially if they have a few big title names behind it, they will. Yeah.
I played VR in the 90s. And I don't think it's improved. But it has improved much. It's improved graphically, but other than that, it's not really gone that much of ahead than the 90s. The other thing I was going to say, actually, touch on, is that I think Xbox has got actually much better games that are better suited for VR than PlayStation. Because their games are more focused, sort of first party, over the shoulder, graphical cutscene experiences. I don't think they've really got. They usually go third party or the lower tier first party games for their VR. Whereas Xbox, I think their first party games, big budget games, would suit VR much better. Like with Forza Horizon 5s, your Sea of Thieves. Can you imagine Sea of Thieves in VR? That'd be fantastic. Games like Crackdown and stuff like that. You know, games that can easily just slide straight into VR. And I think Xbox is in a better position game-wise to go VR. But saying that, as we've all said, I don't think VR. We're not ready. No one's ready for VR yet, and I don't think.
I'm not.
Nah, don't need it. I can do that.
All right. I think. Anything else you want to add there, ASHTREY?
Yeah. No, not on VR. I don't like that topic.
It's a tough topic to swallow. Yeah. Is there anything else? Any other topic we want to talk about? Yeah, we've done everything other than just any bad takes we saw on Twitter.
Yeah.
I've already talked about some of those bad takes.
Bob wants to get on Halo, so. And if anyone else in chat wants to join us on Halo Infinite, on multiplayer, you're welcome.
Yep.
Shout out to the 12 people watching. We appreciate it.
Yeah. That's the highest count. 12. Oh, DX don't get those
We got
numbers.
to 14. We got to 14.
14. Hear that, dealer?
Yep.
14.
Oh,
count the numbers.
Thanks for that 1,000 people watching.
We had Fons in the chat too for a while there, which was really good.
Thank you, everyone who joined us. We'll be back next week, hopefully, and we'll see about getting another guest on, and maybe ASHTREY back on if he wants to come back on. Love having you on. But do you just want to kind of tell everyone where they can find you before we head out?
Yeah, sure. So it's a big country. Good luck. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it. I'm always happy to come on, as long as I'm not hungover or something like that. But you never know. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube, and you can find me on Xbox as ASHTREY Gaming. Very easy. I wanted to make sure that I don't have different variations of my name on different platforms. I wanted it to all be uniformed. I have recently started a channel, ASHTREY Gaming. I've only got 54 subs, so feel free to subscribe if you like.
Do sub to him.
Yeah, please,
Yes,
guys. Please just pop over to ASHTREY and drop him
Give
a
him
sub.
a
Please, that guys. Yeah, because we're all in the same community and it's just great. And add him on Twitter as well.
Well,
add Red as well. And on YouTube.
Everyone here has already added. That's why they're here. They're here for me.
Yeah,
No, I'm kidding.
That's exactly right. But yeah, look, I'm still finding my way. I'm still trying to get my rhythm with making videos and things like that. But I release them. I try to do one a week.
You release more than Red.
Alright.
Shh. Don't call me a fraud.
Yeah, so I try and do one a week, and this week I did 2. So I'm upgrading my audio equipment as well. I'm waiting for some stuff to come in, a new microphone and a few bits and pieces, so I will sound better. My quality will get better as I go. I've just got to, build that confidence up and make sure that, I sound more energetic and lively, so you guys don't fall asleep while I'm trying to watch a video. So, but yeah, look, I'm doing it to improve personally as well as creatively. So, it's just, come on the journey with me, and hopefully you see me improve and get better as I go.
Well, appreciate you jumping on with us, and I like watching your content, so keep it up. You're doing amazing work. So yeah, give this guy, give ASHTREY a sub, watch his content, well worth it. And yeah, you're making improvements all the time. Like, I need to stop being a fraud and actually put a video out.
You do need to do something, do some work. You're just so lazy.
That's the only way, consistency, and obviously trying to improve. You know what? Audio is probably the biggest thing. More than anything else, more than your thumbnails, more than the actual video or gameplay that you have in the background and your editing skills. It's audio. You got to captive. No, it's true. It really is true. Audio is so important. It's not funny. So that's why I went, you know what? I really need to improve my audio. I've been getting really, really, really good advice from Dealer Gaming, and he's been helping me with some tips and tricks, and I've got to put some sound deadening in the room and things like that to help as well. So shout out to Dealer, by the way, if he hears this.
And Dealer, if you're listening, if you need any advice on podcasts and that, just drop me a DM and stuff. And talk.
Don't take any advice from Elite, guys. That's my first bit of advice for you.
I'm full of confidence spitting right now. Right.
But thank you, everybody. Hit that like button, share this out, and if you enjoy this, come back next week. We'll have another show next week, and appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you for watching.
Cheers.
Thank you all for now.
Thank you for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Peace.
You like peace?
Peace.
Peace.
Peace out.
Peace.